This is a model of a motor launch 368. It's kind of an endearing little homemade looking motor launch. And it was commanded by Lt Roland Burke, who was serving with the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve during a raid on the port of Ostend, Belgium in May 1918. Now this was Ostend was one of the bases used by German submarines on the Belgian coast, and the Battle of Atlantic had grown to alarming proportions in 1917. By early 1918, the corner had been turned. Nevertheless, the British were determined to block the Germans from using these bases, and so they sent a flotilla of ships over to try to block the entrance, and they were accompanied by a number of these little motor launches, which in this case just has a gun, not a torpedo. Others had torpedoes. And Roland Burke, well, who was Roland Burke? He was, in fact, originally from the UK, had been a fruit farmer in the Okanagan, a young fruit farmer. And of course, it's interesting because in the 20th century, there was a wave of British immigrants who settled the Okanagan, and it was just being, the Okanagan was being cultivated for fruit farms thanks to irrigation systems and so on. So Roland Burke, when war came, like many others who had been born in the UK, he wanted to join up. He tried to join the Canadian Army and was rejected because of his eyes. And I've never quite, and you can see him here. He's, even in his picture, he's got these glasses. So it's for what I'm not sure how he managed to do it, but he got himself over to England, was accepted by the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve, rose to command this motor launch in 1918. He was one of several winners of the Victoria Cross for that raid. So that's quite noteworthy that a BC resident got the VC in 1918. Roland Burke then came back, tried fruit farming again. It didn't work out. So he came down to the coast and he worked over in the dockyard in the 30s as one of the accounting officials. And in the mid-30s, he came up with the idea that if war came, we should have a fisherman's reserve. He was aware that we had a lot of fishing boats on the coast, and of course at the time there was all this paranoia about the fact there were Japanese Canadians who had fishing boats, and so there was thought, well, wouldn't it be great if war comes, we want to be able to patrol the coast, have a handle on if there is any Japanese activity. So Roland Burke proposes Fisherman's Reserve, and in fact it was instituted and was quite useful during the war on the West Coast.